I can buy someone's identity for $19. What do you mean by that? It sounds like you're buying their soul. People are actually doing this?
At NordVPN, we have like 3 big pillars, or more than VPN as we call it.
If Lithuania sees NordVPN is browsing too much on the dark web, they might think you're actually like a customer.
Right now, it's not only about ransomware as a service. These days, there is Disinformation as a service as well. There are already advanced attacks that people first try to call your relative to get your voice and then use that AI-generated voice to call your relative to try to scam you. The accountant was lured into sending 25 million to the scammers because he was in the Zoom meeting with all the executives at the time.
Do governments ever reach out to Nord and say, hey, we want to find out what Bob is doing?
So, hello guys, my name is Marijus Briedis. I'm the CTO at NordVPN.
We are currently in the Nord Security NordVPN headquarters. I'm speaking to the CTO of Nord. You've been here for a very long time. You've been, leading NordVPN's technical team for a very long time. Happy to have you here, man.
Hello, welcome.
Definitely. Happy to be here. Yeah, tell me about yourself. How long have you been at Nord? What do you do?
So, hello guys. My name is Marijus Briedis. I'm the CTO at NordVPN here. I am almost 10 years. It's going to be in October. I've started as a DevOps engineer and just moved up into the leading role. But in general, my day-to-day activities is, of course, about leading the team, about the people. There's that part. It's kind of a big one. And the second part is about the tech and innovation and what to introduce into Nord and the business part as well. So happy to be here. I think we have really great talent here in Lithuania, Vilnius, and not only here. And I think the best part of it is creating something new every day, especially in the cybersecurity space. Enjoying to the fullest. Welcome.
It's an honor to be here. There are over 2,000 people that work at Nord. How much of that is technical?
So it's not about NordVPN only. It's about Nord Security because we have not only the NordVPN as a product. Of course, it's a flagship of ours, but we have NordPass, Locker, and other B2C and B2B products. For the engineering part, I would say is something like a little bit less than half in the engineering part, so a lot of people in there. And of course, these days we use AI ourselves as much as possible. We try to incorporate that. But yeah, I think less than half right now.
I think a lot of people, almost everybody, they've heard of Nord or they've used NordVPN. They're not too aware of kind of the full suite that Nord offers, right? Because when someone hears we have almost 1,000 people working on Nord, they think 1,000 people on a VPN product, that's a little bit overkill. So other than just the VPN, what does NordVPN do? You have a lot under your belt.
So there are really 2 big parts, I would say. There is the B2C and our business to customer clients, and there is the B2B part. So for B2B part, we started with NordVPN, and quickly when the product grew exponentially, we introduced different cybersecurity verticals. Thus the NordPass and Locker was born at the time, and NordTeams, which is right now NordLayer. So NordPass is about password manager, secret manager, and making sure that you're encrypting everything at rest, what is really important for you. The Locker is our encryption cloud tool and local tool to encrypt files as rest as well, whatever it could be. And there is NordLayer. In 2019, it was born. It's B2B VPN. So it's totally different entity, totally different people because of the requirements for the B2B. And after a while, we introduced a B2B part of NordPass as well. Right now, the B2B suite contains NordStellar as well, which is a threat intelligence gathering tool. We still monitor what's happening there on the dark web, etc. There is a part of a little feature at NordVPN, Dark Web Monitor and Dark Web Monitor Pro. We have at Nord Security as well Saily under hood and Coveron, which is cyber insurance suite as well. So there is a lot of products, and we are still cooking. We are still experimenting. There are a lot of features coming up every year. We just trying to push as much as we can.
It's a lot. That's a lot. Originally, when the team started Nord, VPNs were still kind of like a saturated product, right? Is there something that makes NordVPN different than other VPNs? Do you guys sell data? Do you guys, secretly give your data to governments and stuff? Sort of what makes NordVPN different?
So I think when you try to do a product, it's not only about, the product itself, is about the marketing as well. So just to be really good at it, especially in the B2C world, I think, and in B2B as well, you have to maintain the product. You have to make sure that the quality is great, and you have to reach the customer. So of course, we don't sell the data. We don't do that. We are all about, privacy and security here. We do no logs audits every year. We started as first VPN in the industry to do that and kind of leading that role still. But I think the biggest difference is just simplicity of the product in general. We always wanted to do the product that you could own your data, what's happening in general just for you, and just own it, being online, because these days we are just, online every day. And the biggest and the greatest QA of our product is my mom, I would say, because, if the feature is too geeky and she doesn't understand how to use it, that's a really good indicator whether we should push it or not. The idea is just to connect or set it up one time and just forget, to work it flawlessly. I think that was the key for us to making sure that we are going into the market and doing that into the right direction.
When you say that Nord doesn't keep logs and you get audited, is this normal for VPNs, or is this something unique about kind of what you guys do at Nord? Because under my impression, I think a lot of VPNs, they think it would be dumb not to take logs because they can then sell their user data, and that's like a whole other side business. Is this true, or is it kind of standard to not keep logs?
So for any flagship VPN right now in the world that is into B2C arena and want to compete with us or our competitors, I think it's a no-brainer to do this and to do the no logs audit every year with one of the big 4 audit firms out there, because they do it really great. They have a really rigorous process of doing though, and etc. And you have to sell the product and it costs for you because you have to maintain the infrastructure, the people who create, etc., etc. If you think about it in different way, and different perspective, there are free VPNs, a lot of free VPNs outside there, right? The question is how they are maintaining that and how they making sure that infrastructure is running, etc., etc. So maybe they are doing something with the data. We don't know, just idea here. But for us, I think it's a no-brainer. We care about privacy and security of our clients, and it's kind of a business as usual for us. Do
governments ever reach out to Nord and say like, hey, we want to find out what Bob is doing or anything like that? Or how does that kind of work? Like compliance with governments, but also protecting user security at the same time?
I think it's not only about that. It's really a big headache for our engineers to have a setup that we have right now in general, just to debug whether there is a bug, for example, on a server side, because we don't do that. But in general, there were some cases where we had to remove our servers in general from several countries. We wrote in our blog about it because, some people want to get the data from that to have the access, and our take is, okay, we're not going to operate in that country in general. We just remove our servers from there.
Wow. So some countries that you had a VPN server in, they tried to force you to give your data, and you guys just decided to delete the servers. You took them out.
Yeah, in a nutshell, we just removed the servers. You can find out more on our blog post about it. Yeah.
I'll link the blog post in the description, but just out of curiosity, are you able to name the countries?
There were a case with India, as I remember correctly, one of the last cases that we had. But it's not about the countries forcing, because they just introduced some kind of a law regarding this, and if you want to comply to have the server in there, it's kind of a risk for us. And it's not only about us, it's about other VPN providers that care about that. It's a no-brainer just to make sure, because the client is what we care about.
It's pretty cool. Outside of NordVPN, you guys offer a lot more security features. In my opinion, if you use a VPN, but there are cookies on your browser, they can still identify you, right? So is there a way you can truly be online and have that kind of security? What's kind of the full stack security protocol? Because VPN probably isn't everything, right?
Yeah, if we're going to talk about the advanced SecOps, it's a totally different topic. It really depends why you're doing that and how you're doing that, right? But in general, right now at NordVPN app, we have like three big pillars, I would say. The first one is about the connect, which is just connecting to the internet and making sure your data in transfer is secure and encrypted. We offer several features on top of that, like dedicated IP, meshnet if you want to connect your devices directly, etc. The second part is about the next-gen antivirus, as we call it right now, and protection, proactive protection from the threats that you have online, right? Like phishing links, scam, whatever it is. There are a lot of features in there. And the third part is about the monitor and alerting you if everything is happening about your data with the dark web monitor feature or other features that we're going to introduce into the future. So, it's kind of becoming a bigger app. It's not about the connection and only encrypting in transit. It's even more right now, more than VPN as we call it, and we are proud of it. Backing to that question about the SecOps, it's not about only the VPN app, but how you behave on the internet, what kind of software are you using, etc., and these days you can turn off the JavaScript of the browser, but most of the websites, they're not gonna load, so it really depends on the user and case by case. But in general, as you mentioned, not only VPN app you should have if you're gonna go into that, but it's about the behavior, how you're using your operating system, the tools that you are using, etc., VPN, of course, helps. That's one of the pillars, but that's, I think, another topic entirely.
You mentioned the dark web. I think a lot of people don't fully understand what that means. When I think of dark web, I think of like the Silk Road where people use Bitcoin to buy drugs or whatever goes on in the dark web. What do you mean when you say you monitor the dark web? Are people like buying hitmen and you're like making sure that's not happening to your users? What do you mean by the dark web?
So we introduced dark web monitor feature pretty early, I would say several years ago, and we started with a simple email, right? So the idea was just to see all the dark web, what's happening there, into the forums as well, what kind of leaks are happening there, and getting that database bigger and bigger for us and making sure that our users can check whether their credentials were leaked or not, right? So this was the first part. Right now with the dark web monitor Pro, we introduced several emails. You can add even your credit card, SSN, even phone number. Into the future, we're going to add more and more. One of the neat features that we have the ability to track your cookies, your leaked cookies online, right? And nobody talks about it, but I think this is a not solved problem yet in the cybersecurity space in general, because a lot of people like to log in to their account and just forget it. They don't like to log out. And usually that's the problem, because if the cookie gets generated and it's leaked through info stealers or malware or whatever it is, that cookie could be used with different techniques to log into your account and take over your data. So we have ability to monitor those cookies right now and alert people in general. With the dark web, it's not only about the advanced connection to it and accessing the data. It's about the forums, what kind of data there are, because it's ever-changing world, etc. So it really depends how much you are into it. Silk Road, I guess, was one of the parts of the dark web, right, as we call it. But it's ever-changing world and it's always evolving. It's not only about Tor network these days as well.
So just to clarify, right now people are buying and selling normal people's social security number, their phone number, their email. This is a normal thing that happens to normal people. Like, can a random 20-year-old find their information on some forum somewhere? How do you get your information just taken?
Yeah, it's totally different market these days. And we did a recent research, for example, for the Lithuanians and how much the identity costs in general. So, for example, it varies by country, how much accessible the data there is. So, for example, for Lithuanian to get a working business email, the credit card, working credit card, and some kind of a ID, it's about $19 these days. So you can get almost everything. And the price is not so big, right? You can imagine what kind of attacks or what kind of advanced attacks you could do with those $19. And it's, as I mentioned, it varies country by country. The more leaks you have, the more information there is, the cheaper it goes. For example, to buy a passport of Singapore, it's way higher than to do it on other countries. So it's happening, and these kind of attacks are happening, I think, every day. And the market is pretty crazy. Right now, it's not only about ransomware as a service. These days, there is disinformation as a service as well. It's, as I mentioned, it's always evolving. And the biggest part, I would say, for the people to understand, it's about education. That's why we talk a lot about cybersecurity, how you should behave online, what kind of tools you should use, because the tools is the one part. It protects you up to some level, but if your behavior it's not up to par, if you don't understand how you've been tricked into scam, phishing, or whatever it is, it's the second part.
So what really stood out to me about what you said, two things. The first is you said I can buy someone's identity for $19. What do you mean by that? What does it mean to buy somebody's identity? Like, if I buy their credit card and their credit card has a credit limit of like $10,000 and I'm buying it for $19, that doesn't sound like a, proper market. Like, the laws of economics don't make sense. Why don't they just use the credit card? Can you tell me more about this part of the internet where you can just buy other people's, it sounds like you're buying their soul, their social security, their passport, their credit card. People are actually doing this?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we just recently released a big report on that, and not only about how much people are spending their time online, but what kind of information you can find it. And the economics, I think, that's my own opinion, it's pretty simple. Those leaks happen basically every day these days, right? We see big databases leaked, etc. And because you're doing this at scale, you're operating at a data level, and basically you don't care, honestly. You just combine that data from different sources and put it into a basket or whatever it is, a new database, and you just try to sell it as much as possible. To use that information and to use that for bad means, I think you have to have the skills. That's the second part. There are people who do that, of course, right? Advanced groups, I would say, could go into that direction, and maybe they're using the data. We don't know about that. This is our only observation about what you could find these days online. We could check it out, what we could find about ourselves. I guess it would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm really curious for research purposes, but if Lithuania sees NordVPN is browsing too much on the dark web, maybe looking at too many, identities for $19, they might think you're actually like a customer.
I don't know. We don't have the info about that, but we could check. Yeah.
It's very interesting. So, and what about misinformation? So people are buying and selling identities for misinformation. Does that mean, like, if I buy someone's name and identity to make a Facebook account for like a political organization, or like to do some sort of, marketing campaign against a competitor, what does it mean to do a disinformation campaign through the dark web?
So it's not about the dark web. You could buy these kind of services on dark web, but usually how the disinformation as a service works, it's about the bots, right? AI generated stuff, and trying to put one or other mind into the people's mind. As you mentioned, one of the campaigns could be, try to lure people to go into that link, to read about something and to change their opinion. So, and you could do it, in thousands of people, which looks like true somewhere on the social media, which is basically not, right? So the whole mechanism about that, it's kind of a new thing that's happening right now in different areas that we see. And it's really interesting how it's going to evolve, especially with the tools of the AI tools that helps to scale that basically exponentially right now. It's pretty crazy.
Do you have any examples of kind of the themes and like where this is happening? I don't think a lot of people have heard of this, to where you can buy identities and push misinformation campaigns.
You could find it pretty easily on some of the political Facebook comments, even in Lithuania, or on YouTube or whatever, where you can see that names are basically generated. They are not really real, or they are like whatever, but doesn't look clear, and the comments are pretty comments on those websites or posts or whatever it is, just to push the post as much as possible into the ranking. This is happening even here. I saw that not only one time, on the internet, just browsing. We could go deeply into the research for you guys, just to share for the viewers if they want to. I think we could find some information there.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, so this is something that's happening. It sounds like it's being funded by, very large companies and potentially even governments. And no,
I think not necessarily, honestly. Several people with at least technical knowledge how to do that could do it pretty quickly using local LLMs or, the LLMs that are widely available right now. Because, just to cook a website right now with whatever information that you put in there is just like 10 minutes job these days, including buying the domain, putting the website, pushing it to the prod, as we call it, etc. So that's why we see exponential scale into the scam and phishing campaigns, especially throughout those Black Fridays, like an example, right? There is always an exponential uptick with the fake websites mimicking something somewhere, just trying to lure you to buy something. It's pretty easy these days to do these things, honestly. Yeah.
You're saying it's easy to launch disinformation campaigns and all that. What about like scamming in general and, phishing for information, getting people's credit cards and all that? Are we going to see more of that because of how AI is progressing? Can anybody hypothetically just kind of start stealing from people online?
So for scamming, that's for sure. We see this happening throughout these sell-off days pretty a lot. As we saw, we have some threat protection pro numbers that we could share with you guys as well, just for the curiosity. But just to buy a domain, put some fake bags, shoes, or whatever. And it's really interesting to see because people really even do this extra step for you, because if you buy a bag, if you think that there is a bag, they send you a photo of a bag just in that direction. This is one of the examples, right, that we saw on the scam websites. And there is a little star that you didn't see, that there was a photo of a bag, but not a bag, and you bought it. But we call it a scam because you kind of were lured into that, it's crazy what's happening these days, yeah.
You said you have a scam phone number, like a support phone number. What's the craziest story you've heard about something like this, to where somebody tried to buy a bag online and they were mailed like a picture?
I don't think that we have a scam support number. I don't know.
Or I don't know. What was the number you talked about?
We could check. But for me was that picture that even people send it to the buyer, right? In general, because you got the money and it's basically a joke, and even you did that in the end. It's crazy. Yeah.
What do you think like the scams are going to look like in 10 years, where we have apparently sentient AI and no one really knows? Like, think of how bad the average person is with technology now. It's going to be even easier to use technology in 10 years. No one's going to know like the underlying technology to anything they're using. What do you think it's going to kind of evolve to?
I think we are already seeing this little by little. So we started with just, simple generated web pages, as we talked previously. We're going to see more phishing, which is voice scam, that is happening already. And there are already advanced attacks that people, first try to call your relative to get your voice and how you're talking, and then use that AI generated voice to call your relative to try to scam you. We started several attacks already with video scams using AI. One of the widely known, I guess, what was in Singapore in 2024, where the accountant was lured into sending 25 million to the scammers because he was in the Zoom meeting with all the executives at the time.
Wow.
And all the people, other people except him, were, preparing for that advanced attack and knowing the company, how it works, etc., etc. So this is happening already, text, voice, video. What we're gonna have in the future, I think, is gonna be a combination of those three for sure. At easier way to do it, right? With the advanced AI tools, if we're gonna go there. That's why I'm really happy to see that those companies are talking a lot about, how much damage they could do, especially if we're gonna have like a superpower for the average people that they know a little bit about the technology and they could, scale it out as much as possible. For the future, I think it really depends how the interface is gonna change. In general, if we're gonna see the change, maybe we're not gonna use phones after 10 years. Maybe it's gonna be something different. Maybe glasses, whatever it's gonna be. We don't know yet. But I think the attacker is gonna, improvise in that arena as well. Because usually, whatever the defense is evolving, usually the attackers are evolving as well. It's kind of never-ending battle. Really interesting to see.
So if your girlfriend calls you and asks you for $1,000, how do you know it's actually your girlfriend and not some guy in Nigeria or something pretending to be her?
These days, honestly, I don't think that maybe there are an opportunity for us to have the advanced tools to use that as well to detect the AI voice, etc. We already experimenting with that. But I think you just have to be aware about the psychological things that are happening. You can double check, just shut down the call your real girlfriend and check it out if she said that, etc. But it's usually all those schemes is about the urgency, trying to push you into do some action that you shouldn't do in a normal behavior of your own, right? So it's again about the education. It's about the tools, and then it's about the education, how you behave. I think we have to talk a lot about the human firewall, as I call it as well, that you have to try to, realize what's happening and why you're doing this, why you're giving that information, and what kind of information are you getting out of it, yeah.
You talked about the human element, so I'm not gonna start dating a girl that in 6 months wake up next to like a Nigerian guy in bed. Like I'll still be able to speak to somebody as a human being. That's good. What is NordVPN and Nord in general as a company really doing to prevent scamming in general? Because you guys are a security company and you're helping with privacy, encryption, all of that. But these new scams though, it's a very new market.
So for the simple part, anti-phishing, anti-scam, we have those features implemented in our next-gen antivirus. We protect our users, that's for sure. For the voice and AI and video AI, I would say for the voice, we already have call protection feature that's coming up, and it is in NordVPN apps on mobile. You can use it. For the video, not yet. Maybe we're gonna figure something out. I think it's a good challenge, honestly, to have that. But maybe there is an opportunity. That's a good thought, by the way. Thank you.
More on the technical side of you being the CTO, you said half of the company is technical, right? It's just technical people. That means you manage like 1,000 people. How do you manage 1,000 people? That's a lot of people. I'm sure there's a process to that, right? I'm sure you had to learn to kind of get better as you did it. What is it like managing all those people, and what have you learned along the way as a CTO? So it's a little bit different that we manage people here. For each product, we have a CTO or VP of engineering. Here at Nord, we have 2 CTOs, by the way, as well. We kind of have our own areas we looked into. But yes, that was a road for me in general. The idea was just I wanted to be in front of the terminal for the whole of my life, and that's it. But I think if there was an opportunity for me to have a bigger accountability, and I took it at the time, and I just learned along the way. But in general, there are a lot of different leadership styles that you could use every day, and I think the best leaders that I saw in my history of working here, they adapt depending on the situations, etc. But people,
know, it's for some people it's about curiosity and the challenge. For others people it's about connection. For others even about money. And it really depends team by team, leader by leader, and person by person. And you have to manage that, and you have to understand, and you have to have a vision where you want to go in general. I think that's the biggest part for me right now. But as I mentioned before, I think why I'm still here, it's especially about the people, how many great talent we have, how many great hackathons we did internally, and just pushing the product forward in cybersecurity arena. It's just, a pleasure to be here.
Just to kind of wrap it all up, you've been with Nord for a long time. You've kind of seen not only NordVPN grow, but how many companies are there under Nord? There's a lot, right? Like,
yeah, already a lot.
We can't even put a number on it. What have you learned along the way, just in general? We kind of touched on that, but for someone that wants to, be an entrepreneur, or you're not technically the founder, but you're basically like a really big part of Nord. What have you learned along the way, and what do you wish you knew earlier in this journey?
For me, as a geeky guy, I never thought about marketing a lot. In general, for me, it always was about the product and pushing the innovation, etc. I think if you want to create a unicorn or decacorn or whatever you are doing there, and you want to reach as much as possible from the audience perspective, you have to think not only about the product, but the marketing side. And the marketing and the product has to go hand in hand. The product is about reliability, innovation, and pushing new features, etc. Marketing is about reaching the people who you want to reach, and to sell the product. This is the biggest learning for me yet. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.